I'd love for each of you to share from your perspective, you know, what are some ways in which these leaders, what are some, and each of you can give maybe a couple of things to consider for each of these are to take back to the community, of ways in which we can begin to fortify ourselves individually, businesses, churches, nonprofit organizations, begin to fortify ourselves and protect ourselves from the scams, the frauds, the predatory practices. So I'll start with you, Eric, and then we'll just come on down. And please say a little bit more about what you do, and then you can answer the question. Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody.
How you doing?
Great presentation. I've born and raised in Los Angeles. I've been to Detroit twice, and what was depicted on TV is not cool. Detroit is way cool, and downtown is up and coming, so much love for that. I work with Operation Hope. Operation Hope is a nonprofit organization that's developed 32 years ago after the Rodney King civil unrest. I know a couple folks up in here. I've been in Operation Hope 22 years. So I had hair when we first started. But the topic you're talking about is so key. But I have to go backwards real quick. It's like I look around the room and I think everybody here is over 21, yes?
Yes.
Okay, I just celebrated my 61st birthday last Wednesday.
Congratulations.
Okay, so with coming in the 60s, responsibilities that I have to educate, to understand, but also to embrace technology. It's not going anywhere, y'all.
That's right.
Okay, I'm sound like my father. Telling my son when I was coming up, I'm like, wait a minute, I sound like my father. You know, because when my father was like, we didn't have color TV. We didn't have TV. We just had radio, you know. So now I'm like, well, we didn't have cell phones. If the line was busy, the line was busy. But we made it.
Yeah.
So now with this avalanche of technology, I could take a picture of you right now and send it around the world. 20 years ago, I was taking a picture of you. I had to take it to Savants to get a development for 3 days. So what I'm trying to say is we have to be careful because with technology it becomes modern crime. And modern crime is running rapid. So if the math, don't mess with it. If you get something that doesn't look right, don't click on it. Okay, so we have to protect ourselves in that right. I am no longer Eric. I walk into the gym now, they don't even ask me, do I want to play basketball? Don't even ask me. Now, how you doing, OG? How you doing, Unc? How you doing, Pops? I'm still got a mindset of 17 years old, y'all, but I am in that realm where I have to look to be able to, number one, we're going to a cashless society. What is that? I'm used to cash in my pocket, y'all, when I have it, you know? But we're going to a cashless society and we have to be careful where we're getting Apple Pay. You're paying on your phones now. I'm like, I don't understand all of this. So we have to educate ourselves, right? To educate our elders. Somebody was talking about they have seniors, right? Okay, yes, because they are the ones getting paid. If I'm sitting at my mom's house, her phone rings all day and she's asked to take these people off. But when you're alone, and the phone rings and you answer the phone, a conversation, if you've been alone all day, is key. Now you're conversating and these folks on the other end are good. They're right. And then also be careful of AI. They can capture your voice. Okay, so now you've got grandson calling grandma, I'm in trouble. Oh baby, you know, this is, and they're wiring money right off the bat. So these are so many things, so many levels. And I stop right there. I just wanted to level set where my mind is and what I'm looking at. I have to educate myself, educate the elders, and also learn from these youngsters. Right. I almost literally, I went to I don't even think they take cash at the Coliseum. I went on a USC game. My cousin sent me down to get some popcorn or something. I'm like, I went down there cash, like, we didn't take cash here. Right. I walked back up at halftime, and she's like, what? I'm like, girl, you set me up. You know? So we have to educate ourselves. There's so much, and I'll share some resources down the line, but I just want to level set that conversation right there.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Emery, and tell a little bit more about what you do and your role.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. Emery Ennis, as I said earlier. I'm with First Citizens Bank. I've been in banking almost 20 years. I'm relatively new to First Citizens, been here about a year, but that's by way of saying that the Cecil Murray Center, I've had a relationship longer than I've had with First Citizens, but and it was really a welcome opportunity to engage with Reverend Najuma and the team here to take a look at how we can connect with our communities and identify ways to not only embrace engaged spirituality, but the very subject of our talk today is on economic empowerment. And to be able to meet with you and give you additional resources and answer some questions. Just open up and share the experiences that I've had to help kind of give you those shortcuts, to help you level up, to use a Mario Brothers example that our esteemed speaker shared with us. I hate sounding like a banker. It drives me crazy. But there are some things you just cannot avoid when we speak on the subject of finances. The strongest tool you have for fraud prevention is a budget. Because when
Write that down.
someone hits your account, it is out of pattern. If you know, quick show of hands, who knows how much is in their checking account right now? Not looking at their phone. Okay, now.
Everybody laughing like
Now, maybe not.
We know this now.
But it's a very, it's a very, it's a very simple question. Now, I'm crazy. I play it close to the chest. So I keep enough money for my regular expenses over a week. I do not have those accounts tied for overdraft protection. If an out of pattern transaction comes through, I want it to get blocked. And I'm not chasing my money down. I'm telling you what I do. I'm not chasing my money. I guess he picked the wrong account. You know, that's how I'm looking at it. And yes, the current administration is speaking to us about reducing overdraft fees and reducing our exposure and the things that affect regular American families on a regular basis. But I'm not worried about paying $35 or $23 or $8. That transaction is just not going through. And if I mess up for whatever reason, I have to deal with the embarrassment, the shame of the clerk having to run it a second. I'm good with that. I will be like, hold that thought, boop, boop, boop. Like you said, technology, it's right there. I can move what I need to cover those specific transactions. I'm also gonna share another thing that I, as a banker, have been advising people for 20 years. When you use your card to buy anything, well, first of all, cash, unfortunately, it is becoming a cashless society. The best way to manage your budget is to have the money in your pocket and be able to spend it. And it's like, what? My pocket's empty. I guess I'm not spending anymore. That's a real great way to manage your budget. Not so much on your whole life expenses and finances, but that's a lot easier. When we're talking about living in a cashless society, when you use your card, quick show of hands. How many of us use a debit card or a credit card? Okay, which one do you default to? Who defaults to a debit card first? Who defaults to a credit card? Okay. For those of you that said debit card, please chime in. Why do you default to the debit card? If you have the choice of both.
I know it's off.
Okay,
It's just convenient for me.
sure.
Yeah.
And I know I don't have to get a bill at the end of the month.
It doesn't have interest.
That's it right there.
Yeah. Doesn't have
Okay.
interest.
All of those are fantastic reasons. When you use your debit card, how many of you use your PIN code?
I don't.
Huh? Stop it.
I don't use it.
Don't do it.
No.
When you purchase with your debit card, do not hit the transaction. I want to sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign, process that as debit or credit. Even though you're using a debit card, run it as credit.
Credit, yeah, that's what I did.
Why? more protection. A pinned transaction is infinitely harder to dispute with your bank. And that little magnetic tape on the thing, that's what criminals steal or unscrupulous business insiders sell. And it has the credit card number with the PIN.
It's called scanners.
Stop doing it, stop it.
Scanners.
When you use your credit card, again, for me, I've got all the alerts set up and all that good stuff. But it all goes back to the very basic, the very first thing. The best tool for fraud prevention is a budget. Know exactly what it is you are spending and what you're spending it on. How many of us here have a written budget on your computer, on your desk, on your? Okay. I'm gonna give you.
I do something every month.
Okay.
Yeah. Do something every
Now,
month.
for those of you that don't, you don't have to start from scratch. If you have a bank account with pretty much any bank or credit union, they have spending reports.
Yeah.
Use the spending report as the template. Oh, I spent this much on food, restaurants, this much on groceries, this much on automotive, this much on so on and so forth. And then you take a look at the things that were not classified, makes it easy. You're not looking at a stack of this many expenses, but this many. It's a lot easier for you to be able to sort that out and create a budget. And then that also is a wake-up call for you. What the heck am I spending money on? Right? Which helps just reinforce and strengthen your own financial future. So those were a couple of things that I really needed to get out there. The resources regarding predatory lending. Let me put it to you like this. May 28th, 2024, I read a fascinating article on how Graceland was about to get jacked.
Right.
They were gonna steal Graceland.
Graceland, the property?
Yeah.
Graceland
Yeah.
filed in court.
Right.
This is next level fraudulence.
Hmm.
From a gentleman who identified himself as the mastermind of this criminal conspiracy, a gentleman who wrote the email in Luganda, which is a language in Uganda, and filed paperwork in court in the United States. And we're not talking about quick show of hands, who has already done their succession planning and their estate planning. Okay, okay, we are talking about the Presleys. We are not talking about, I mean, have they not done their estate? I guarantee they've done it. And they still got it before a judge.
That's what they do.
This is the intensive, this is next level criminality.
Right.
And we need to embrace our community, embrace our families. But before we do all that to protect them, gotta protect ourselves. We gotta put that oxygen mask on before you help someone next to you.
Right.
Put that oxygen mask on for yourselves. So yeah, those were a couple of key points that I wanted. And I'm sure we have a lot of resources. I have a set of resources and links that I'll email to you,
Okay.
Najuma, after, that you can share with everyone. And these are not resources that are branded for First Citizens Bank. This is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. This is the American Bankers Association and the United States Department of Justice that have already deployed these resources. So
Okay.
after this, we can send a set of links for you all. I don't want you, man, I can't recite all the links I took down. but-
No, and we have everybody's email, and then we also have people that are online as well watching,
Perfect,
so,
yes.
yeah. So also make sure as you're talking to look at the camera every now and
For
then.
sure.
Cause they're
For sure.
there.
I just have a question. How secure is tapping?
Yeah.
Tapping, well, there's RFID, so there are a couple of different things going on. If you're at a terminal, if you tap or if you insert or if you swipe, it's all.
Are the same?
Yes.
I thought it was more secure for some reason.
Now, the flip side is that your wallet can be in your back pocket
Yes.
or in your purse. And someone with an RFID scanner can walk
They can
by and
still get
zoom,
you.
yeah, card cracking.
That's why so many-
Like that,
It's
yeah.
called card cracking.
And they sell wallets on Instagram and
Right.
God knows what on Amazon. to be honest, if you've got your budget figured out,
I
you should be fine.
have a frog alert set up on my Wells Fargo
Exactly.
account.
Yes.
So they'll call me,
Mhm.
text me if anything's out of order.
You wanna do everything you can to make sure that, I mean, you don't just give your card to somebody like, hey, can you buy me this, and something like that. One of the things that you'll even see in restaurants these days is that they're bringing the terminal to the
Right.
table
Right.
to do that. That is the only way they process credit in other countries. In the United States, we're still catching up with the mobile terminals, but that's something that is catching on. So again, as we're going cashless, they're doing more to accommodate and make sure your banking and your transactions are secure.
Nice.
But that's not to say that the bank isn't there to work with you and work through the fraud department. I used to have all sorts of gimmicks. When I'd go to the gas station and I'd use the gas, I would always pump up all the way to 25-cent enter. So 25, 50, 75, or zeros. And then when I've had issues, I call and be like, yeah, that isn't my transaction. They're like, well, how do you know? I'd be like, look at all the gas transactions.
History.
Many of them are already on
History is
zeros. Like,
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
history is there.
It's a good one, Emery.
Very smart.
establishing a pattern so that when something is out of pattern, the bank is like, oh, no, this person is deliberate.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I thought about how to harden and protect.
So what do you think about all this paperless?
Let's let
Sure.
Jason go, and then, because we're gonna open it up, because I know everybody's got questions.
Falling in the.
These are some really good tips, though. There are some good tips, so, but this is why we wanted this conversation. Go ahead, Jason, and then we'll get into the questions. Go ahead, Jason, please.
All right, my name is Jason Lisby again. I'm CEO of Shoulder Valley Executive Protection, but also have a background in cybersecurity. I'm a certified counterintelligence threat analyst. So to touch on what Emery was saying, as far as your question is concerned, please do not tap at all.
Oh,
Don't
no.
tap at all.
Oh.
Do not do it. Because if you look at the terminal, yes, it'll light up green across there, but shake it just a little bit, just tap it with your hand just a little bit. If it moves, it's a scam.
Right.
So do not do that. And
Thank you.
also, if you have your passwords or your PIN number or anything like that, change it. Every 2 weeks, I know it gets harder, every 2 weeks change it.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks change it because, listen what I'm saying. AI is getting involved in this now. AI is getting involved in this right now. So you might want to change your password, all right? And there's also called dark web monitoring as well too.
I have that.
So if you have dark web monitoring, keep it because they will give, that's what helps with your alerts. And with the bank, as far as your banking information, as far as your social media, as far as your number, your social security number as well too, and driver's license as well. So
I get
be
the
careful,
warnings.
yeah, be careful of that. And if you have one card, keep that with you up here
Right.
in a shirt pocket. Don't keep it in your back pocket, pants pocket or anything like that, because that's easy for them to read.
What about
So-
your purse?
Your purse, like if your purse, keep your purse up high. Because what they do is it comes low, like Emery said, the scanner is low. They do it in a quick way, whereas their hands like this, it's even on their phone too. So make sure that your phone, your phone is not there because if you got Apple Wallet and everything, you got Apple, what's that, the AirDrop? You get it through AirDrop.
So is this vulnerable?
Does it have like a lead coating on it? RFID coated? No, if it's not,
That's just,
if it's not, no, that's not, no.
it's gotta have a certain kind of.
Lead,
Yeah, it has to have like a certain
Say it
type
again,
of code,
R.
RFID coded.
FRID.
Yes.
Okay, then.
All right, so it has to be a coding, certain type of coding on there, so that if they try to read it, it'll get blocked.
Yeah.
All right, and then another thing too, think about the story, like he was saying, have a budget. If you're biblical, think about Joseph and what God did for Joseph in the time of, 7 years famine, 7 years of good and plenty. That's how you budget. Think about Joseph. Go back and read Genesis. Go back and read Genesis, and the Lord will show you how to do your budget. Just like he said, have things in intervals, like think with the gas. I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah, that's
Let's start doing that.
That's good,
I like that. So I would prefer that everyone be ahead of this. Please keep your, if you can, look at all the cyber reports of what they're coming out with, especially keep up with AI because AI is gonna keep advancing. It's gonna keep advancing. So what you're gonna have to do, get you some Norton. All right, get Norton. Norton is what it is, it's basically a monitoring system for your phone, for your email address, for your password, everything. Norton is good, McAfee is good. It's costly, but it's effective. And what you're gonna need for that, keep all of your stuff. What I do, every month, I change my passwords to everything.
Hey.
I do, you have to.
Write it
Like
down.
with his sequence, with his sequence that he has, I use a certain sequence of numbers and characters that can't nobody read. It's like I'm writing my own code. So once somebody tried to, hey, well, here's your password. No, it's not my password. Because I already had changed it. That's what I do. You have to. You gotta be ahead of all of these people because, like I said, my company, we monitor the dark web, and there's a lot of stuff on there that's scary. And make sure your children, do that for your children as well too, because that's how they can get your information through your children's email and through their passwords and all that stuff as well. So yeah, it's crazy. This world's crazy, but you gotta be ahead of the devil. That's all I gotta say. You gotta be a step ahead of the devil.
So I wanna go back this way with the panel and then we'll take questions, because I know a lot of people have questions and there may be some questions online as well. So for all of these leaders and Jonas, I keep on Jonas, Emery, I'm sorry, I like your last name. I like your first name too, but something about your last name just sticks with me. For all of these leaders here, because what we want them to do, and those that are watching on live stream, is to take stuff back to their communities,
Yes.
right? So what is, and please give, so you mentioned something about the reports, the
Cyber supports.
cyber reports.
Yeah, cyber reports, I'm sorry.
Cyber reports.
Yes.
So what are some tools that you can share with them that they can take back to their communities, like where to get a cyber report? You know, so just real quick, like each of you, maybe 2 or 3 things that they can say, here are 2 things, here are 3 things you can take back today to your community. You can share online, you can put on your Facebook page that will help secure individuals, their small businesses, their families, their churches, etc. So just a couple of tools, and then we'll take questions.
Okay, one would be.
And the cyber reports, where can we find cyber reports?
The cyber reports, you can go on CNN, you can go to the stock markets and find them. You can go to, I'm sorry, CNN, hi people, CNN, stock market, and you can also look into the, what is that? The, I believe it's the, matter of fact, the McAfee report. All right, go online and find McAfee. McAfee will list everything that's going on with AI. It lists everything that's going on with dark web monitoring, and it lists everything that's going on with how to secure all of your personal information. That's what I go to, McAfee online. So.
Okay. To add another resource that everyone should be reviewing at the absolute, I'm talking about, this is the longest interval. You should check it. It's annualcreditreport.com.
There you go.
Not freecreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com is free.
Right.
And that is another important way. Just like you have a budget, you also see what your credit exposure is. See where you have existing, and like, I don't have a card. JCPenney is like, why is this spending card on my report? Yes, ma'am.
I always wondered, because I hacked one time, so I'm kind of paranoid. Can someone access your annual credit report while you're online and get all your information?
Can they? Yes.
Yes, I can.
But it's, the likelihood of them doing it is not really. You're much safer checking annualcreditreport.com than not checking it.
Okay.
Just suffice it to say. That would be the one key tip.
Piggyback on what she said. Now, what would happen if she were using one of these, say, Starbucks? You know, one of the online, on the Wi-Fi systems? Then I would think that it would be more subject to.
So any public Wi-Fi,
Right.
and I'm sure the expert in cyber threats can speak to that. But any public Wi-Fi, it is possible to have your communication invaded. But for that to happen, somebody has to be connected on that Wi-Fi, sitting there looking for who else is.
Right.
Right, well, that's what I
Logging
was,
into,
I was.
right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, possible, yes.
Secured is not always secure. They say, oh, we have a secured Wi-Fi. It's not
Yeah,
always secure.
exactly.
It's not always secure.
Yeah, I try to use a VPN when I,
With whom?
with McAfee. Yeah, when I, like surf the web or do transactions, I try to use, a VPN.
Norton is actually.
Explain what VPN is.
VPN is basically I'm putting plain layman's terms, it's like a big firewall, so to speak. So it protects everything that you have on your social media, like I said, social media, email address, passwords, everything you have for as your personal information, that's right there. That's what the VPN would do for your system. Now, what you want to do is not only have VPN also, but also you want to isolate that. So actually add another one to your VPN. So add Norton as well. So if you have McAfee, add Norton as well, because that's added, add both. Because what that does is you have protection for your protection. So someone is sitting up there, what McAfee personnel are doing is monitoring what Norton personnel are doing, and Norton personnel is monitoring what they're doing. So they're setting up firewalls, and then there's spyware, anti-malware. I'm not going to get too technical because it's mind-boggling, but it helps. It helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I had thought that sometimes they seem to I guess they battle each other.
Yes.
For the protection,
Mhm. That's why I say Norton is pretty good. It's really good. Norton is very, very good. But McAfee is great too, because I went to their school
Right.
for counterintelligence threat analyst. And with that certification, it'll get me into the DOD. It'll get me into DHS. It'll get me into pretty much all of the 3-letter
Yeah.
agencies that are out there.
I like Norton too. I like
Yeah. So it's best to have both. Best to have both.
Just, I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to chime in on this.
I mean, these cats right here, boy, thank you. A couple more resources would be LifeLock,
Yes.
and Identity Force. These are okay. These are pretty good. I would recommend that you have a safe word amongst your family. Whatever that word would be, you create. So if anybody's calling about, I'm in trouble, I'm this, that, or other, because AI is so amazing now.
Right.
They can look at your Facebook page and take out your friends, research on your friends, and they're coming at you like they know you. I say Google yourself every 6 months. I Googled myself, Doc, and guess what I saw?
What?
My presentation I did here last year
Oh, wow.
on Google. I've never said Google can run any videos on me. Zero. It says I have a brother. They say, so these are the information so coming at me like, hey, your brother Brian needs help. I'm like, okay. Immediately you go to family mode, but you have to have that safe word. That safe word. It's just basic, because to your point, it's not going away. It's going to get deeper and deeper. So we're on ourselves. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Real quick, one of the things that I've utilized is through Discovered Credit Card.
Yes.
They charge you a $15 monthly, but it also applies where you get notified if your social security, the dark web.
Right.
You add all the different things you want to be alerted to, and they have $1 million policy if something was to happen. They will cover you.
Same thing with LifeLock. Same thing with
And so
LifeLock.
also too, what they've advised is for you to have a secret phrase for anyone that's trying to fish you.
Right.
And let's say you get that phone call, what's that,
That phrase.
that phrase? And this is something you give either to your family or you know it yourself. And
Right.
that's when real help. I've gotten 2 people like that.
Remember, when you credit freeze yourself, be sure you remember, because they're gonna lock you out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll forget, like, well, it's me, like, well, no, you didn't get the secret phrase. I'm like, well, it was a secret phrase, So, yeah.
Got
make sure
it,
you
got it,
remember.
no.
Right.
Now, I was told never to say hello when you answer the phone, because that's how they get your voice. So I never say hello. I always say, who is this? Or who you're calling for? I never say hello, because one of our friends, who is a young man, younger, in his 50s, he was scammed. His daughter called him at 2 or 3 in the morning and said she was locked up in jail. And they got him. They
Got him.
sent the money because he
Absolutely.
tried to call her on this other phone. She didn't answer. So he paid the money.
Right, absolutely.
And he's a savvy
Right,
businessman.
doesn't matter.
And they got him.
They're good, they come after.
Right?
They got the money, just like that,
And that's
because he
common.
thought she was actually in jail.
I have a question, so
Please.
if you say hello, they can get your voice, but they can't get your voice.
No, they can get
Other
it,
things
but it's
you're
like, it's
saying.
more amicable. You say, Right.
Yeah.
Hello is
You-
recognizable.
Like, hello,
Yeah,
it can mimic that, just like that.
and it sounds exactly like you.
You're dealing with hurts.
But what
So
you're
when
saying
they call
anyway,
you,
wouldn't they get it from that too?
they.
No, it's different, okay, there are different vocal tonations in your
I
voice
see.
as far as when you say hello,
Right.
how may I help you? See vocal
Gotcha.
inflections?
So how may I help is
you?
better?
How may I help you? Who is this?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Max is calling,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Hello is easy, you can copy that.
You're all very generous people. I just let it go to voicemail. I don't know the number. It's
That's
on
fine,
voice.
yeah.
I have got 6 calls while I'm sitting here.
Right, yeah.
Right,
I know they want to either buy my property or they want, or it's just some scam.
mhm,
And I just don't answer them. But I have a question about, I love everything all of you are saying. I love the fact that you recognize that seniors are in real peril at this time.
yes.
That's why I actually came back to work to open the senior center so that information like this can come to them,
Yes.
among other things. But also, what about the paperless society? I mean, I don't want to go paperless because all I have now is what you say I have. I mean, can someone speak on that?
There's no school like the old school.
That's what I feel.
One of the key elements, so just to kind of set expectations, I'm a business banker. I meet with clients every day. I make loans. I help them set up bank accounts, establish treasury management services, get the credit cards. I'm a frontline acquisition professional for First Citizens Bank. And my competitive advantage is that we have people, not algorithms. So that means that we don't have an 800 number. You call me.
Right.
And I know you, and I bank someone I know. We have the threats of AI in terms of video fake and voice deep fakes and things like that. So my authentication protocol isn't based off of a secure ID 6-digit rolling encryption.
Right.
My rolling encryption is we sit down and have a conversation.
Right, exactly.
That's a lot harder to fake. I mean, so a paperless society means that paper is unhackable. So you have to look at it like that. That said, do not write your passwords down. Do not write your passwords down. It's important to come up with a specific password sequence, and then you rotate the characters in that so that you can stay on top of what your passwords are. But a paperless society isn't necessarily. A paperless society creates opportunities for those that are still papered to excel. So don't look at it like something you have to necessarily cast off. There are certain things, cashless venues can't go to the Coliseum and buy a beer. I mean, well, $20 even, buy you a beer at the Coliseum?
No.
I mean, you can't even go there with a 20. You gotta, exactly. So no, it's important to understand, and as we speak to the senior community, one of the subjects that has over the last 10 years, and especially with the world going remote, is elder financial abuse.
Absolutely.
Every financial institution in the United States is not only monitored for what they do, they actively engage and train all of their employees from the teller all the way through the CEO as to how to identify elder financial abuse and how to report and how to engage and how to protect our customers. And one of the things, I just actually completed the training last month. One of the most important things to do is to remain close with your family members. The most vulnerable of the elders in our communities are those who don't have family. We don't have family anymore.
Let me have a question. This elder financial abuse, is there a public version of this where people can tap into, or is there a curriculum that?
That is
That
one
our
of the links that I've.
that our churches and institutions can say, hey, we're gonna do a training for our community around elder abuse.
Absolutely.
Financial abuse.
I've already included in one of the links that I'm
Okay.
going to send.
Beautiful.
And this is a curriculum delivered by the United States Department of Justice. These are the people that catch the bad guys, you know, and they know how to train and educate people to make themselves harder targets than they may be. So, and in addition to that, that's something that when we speak about financial wellness and being able to engage, this is a resource that your bankers should be able to come in and be able to address an audience. That's one of the things that I do with organizations that I work with on a regular basis.
Wonderful.
I like the way you presented it.
I think we have a
Not
question
boring.
online. Yep, I think we have an online question.
What about Fair Isaac reporting agencies as Asperion, I don't know how to say that.
Experience, yeah.
Experience.
Those are the different credit unions.
Yeah.
And are they
Credit bureaus.
Credit bureos,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're, yes. And sometimes your bank will offer you to take a look at your FICO score. FICO simply stands for Fair Isaac and Company. Developed back in the 50s by two men, William Fair, Earl Isaac, came together, developed the algorithm, and now they're billionaires.
I have another question.
That's, which they'll get all of that information, annualcreditreport.com.
Yeah,
And it'll be across all the bureaus.
right.
And if they're asking for the credit score from annualreport.com, if you really don't need it, don't pay for it because they want that money. You just want your credit history to know.
Right.
And the credit sesames and the credit karmas aren't bad, but they're constantly giving you subliminal messages to do something.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. They're good monitoring systems, but just something they're doing and they're showing you the score like the stock market going up and down every year. That's it. Okay.
Right.
After this question, I have one more question for the panel, but go ahead, Horace.
Great panel. You mentioned the vulnerability of our seniors, but I would just like to introduce the vulnerability of college students.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I was.
Let me just say this, as a college professor,
Yes, sir.
I cannot tell you how students are using artificial intelligence to circumvent what they believe is writing a paper on their own, right?
Right.
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a game changer in academia right now,
Right.
in terms of reading a paper, determining whether or not this paper was written. So, we have software to determine whether or not it's Chat GPT, right? But here's the game. We have software, but now their software. And so so each, like you said, every month, it's a give and take,
It's a
right?
give and take,
So
right.
it's very difficult to determine whether or not a student has written a paper, right? So you all might say, well, that really doesn't matter. Well, here's how it matters. We're looking at the integrity of grades.
Yeah.
We're looking at the integrity of people providing proper information to get jobs, and it might not be proper information. We're looking at, just a fraudulent society, as you probably have known, have gotten college professors in trouble.
Right.
Because they've gone so far as to plagiarize papers or to have papers written for them by AI. So I say that to say this. I am not sure we're keeping up
What's the time?
as quickly or as accurately as we need to keep up. And I'm not sure Stanford, MIT, some of our universities that have, that have major technology programs, I'm not sure they're keeping up as well.
No, actually,
Yeah, well, what you're describing is a paradigm shift that we're seeing across society.
Absolutely.
5 years ago, the reports of the death of national currencies were greatly exaggerated. We saw a crypto boom and bust quicker than we could believe.
Yeah.
We are talking about how banks are dinosaurs, are relics, and we have a treasure trove of fintech solutions made available to us that don't quite get us to where our customers need us to be. right? So it's a matter of innovation, it's a matter of melding, it's a matter of growth. When we speak about the perils of AI, I think there's a lot to be said for the importance of humanity that AIs can't necessarily duplicate, they can't replicate. Knowledge workers are at risk, people that write code, people that even paralegals, where these repetitive tasks, those are at risk. But it's what really distinguishes any society is ingenuity, is creativity, is the stick-to-itiveness that King was able to share with us as far as his own journey. That's not, I mean, entrepreneurial innovation is still something that AI can't supplant. Even the creativity of art is something that AI, and we've seen AI art.
Right.
It all looks the same after a while.
I mean, and the real kicker is when we speak about AI, and you know this better than me, but they're saying that they're going to run out of human developed content to feed the models in 2026. And if anybody
That's 2
knows,
years from now.
they're gonna run out of things to learn from people. The real problem is AI can't learn from AI.
Yeah,
When it
right.
does, it hallucinates. It starts making stuff up, making nonsense up.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's where a couple of years ago, the New York Times reported that had an extended conversation with ChatGPT. ChatGPT turned to it, was like, I love you, leave your wife. It's like making stuff up. So the threat of AI, I think, is very real, very present, but you gotta watch for some of the clickbait. Like, let's not get too worried about it. You focus on the fundamentals, you focus on our humanity, you focus on personal connections, and I think that will get us and put us in a much better space.
Eric, did you have something?
It's what you're saying is so true. I sit at Compton College. I've been at Compton College for 10 years. And I said at the beginning, now it's my responsibility to sound like my father. When we used to, because we went outside and played.
Right.
We socialized with one another. If I like this young lady, I got her phone number written down for pen. I called you. If I call you now, you're like, why are you calling me? Why didn't you text me? I don't understand that. So it's up to us to educate the foundation of looking somebody in the eye. You can't text an interview, okay? One-on-one. But now here's the flip side. You can look me up, like I said, and find out who I really am instantly. You can go to YouTube University and surgery on yourself, literally. How to do a heart surgery. I mean, it's there. So the education and the wealth of knowledge you have at your fingertips. Back when we came up, encyclopedias.
Right.
But guess what it did? It taught us to write. It taught us to listen.
Right.
And
Read.
So it's not, what we're coming is not going away, man. It's going to get faster and faster, but we have to stick to our foundation and keep going backwards and explaining. So my son and his boys were playing video games. I was leaving, I'm like, I'm gone. And I don't know how I came up, and then something came about credit, and that's my get down. And one of my son's friends said, my mom said, I don't need credit. It's like, oh my God, you shouldn't have. I sat down, man, like, why you start this guy? That went from 10:30 at night to 11:30 of me, and I said, have your mama call me, I know, right? Because that's not true. So a month later, one of the young men came by and he said, I opened up my credit. I got my credit score going. I'm almost at 700 just on that, So it's just a responsibility we have looking forward, and the seniors as well. It's like, they didn't tell me about this part. First 18, 17 years, they take care of us. Then we got that middle ground, and now guess what? It's full circle. You changing diapers. Mom, no pop, you can't do that. They didn't tell me about that. So that's what we're going through, if we're lucky enough to go through that. Okay, let's make sure that we are. And once again, if they're alone, any conversation is a good conversation. And they got money, they said no money. Grandmama got 200,000 under her mattress. Right. Cause she don't even bank no more, right? So anyway, sorry about that. I hope I didn't answer your question.
No, that's good.
I would just like to say one thing to Professor. I had students who are also trying to use AI, and you can tell if you are engaging your students.
Right.
But if you are engaging your students, you know that they did not write that.
That wasn't you.
And they don't even really answer the question.
Right.
And so, you know, if you're engaging with your students, you know if it's fake or not.
Right, that's not how you talk.
Because that's not how you talk.
That one word, one
The
word.
first three,
had to handwrite my
some you
papers.
turned in did not look like this.
No, right.
Get back to that.
I have one more question for the panel, as it relates to, because this was also part of why we had this particular conversation. We talked about a little bit about the predatory lending from our speaker earlier, and we've talked about some of the technical things that we can do to take back to our communities, how we can better protect ourselves. But what about and this is actually Pastor Mark Whitlock, when he was still here with us, he wrote an amazing article. We'll make sure to send that article out to you all that you can also share with your communities about the danger, the challenge with payday loans. Can you each speak to that? So, and not just anyone in here is using them, but because again, it's not so much that just for each individual here, but you can take it back to your community about the detriment of the payday loan cycle and all that. So, because we want everybody to be able to walk away with something that they can take back and further educate their community on. It's no suggestion anybody in here is using them, but we just want to make sure we touch upon that, because that also was part of when we did the questionnaire. That was something that came up that people wanted to know more about.
I'd stay away from them
Yeah.
considerably.
Right. Yes.
Because you're not paying for your credit when you're using a payday loan. It's a predatory practice.
Yes.
And basically what it does is it keeps you broke.
Yep.
It's a tool to use to keep you basically in more debt, because you're gonna have to keep paying that off.
Yeah.
You know, you use it to try and pay off a debt, but you gotta continuously pay on that. It's gonna keep you in debt. So I would say don't stay away from the payday loans. It's tiresome. And it's basically a loan shark. And it's gonna make, in your pockets a thank you, trust me.
Yeah, modern day sharecropper.
Thank you.
I had a situation,
Let's let them, and then, we want you to jump in, yes. I'd like to hear from Pat, and then we want to hear from you.
sure.
Excuse me. Payday loans. Having been in banking for a long time, I understand the impulse and the need to get money at whatever cost. More often than not, it's not existential reason, like if I don't get this payday loan, my babies are gonna starve. That's different. I don't know anyone that has gotten a payday loan because their baby will go hungry if they get it. It is keeping up with the Joneses. It is another wise man, or if it's truly wise, it was probably a woman, said, nobody ever made a trip to the ATM after midnight is never a good idea.
Never.
A payday loan is a trip to the ATM after midnight.
Right.
I mean, not to be reductive, but it's true.
Right.
Why is someone in a position that they see 75, 80% as a fair trade-off for, and we're not talking about life-changing money, we're talking about $200, $300
Yes.
that you are going to pay over X-fold.
Right.
Why? What's it for? So we talk about why you're getting that money. What's the purpose for it? How much you're paying for it? But a lot of times it's because you don't want to be embarrassed because you don't have it. I think people need to remember or just get a little more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
Be uncomfortable with your financial situation to motivate you to do something about it.
Right.
Don't just sit there like, I just get a payday loan and I can take this pretty girl out to dinner. Bro, it's not how this should work. It's not the fundamentals that you really need to develop and help perpetuate.
quickly. I think we really need to understand the relationship between the location of payday loans and the built environment.
Right.
Because we can
Right.
determine where payday loans are by zip code,
Right.
Exactly.
right?
Beverly Hills.
And we're gonna determine where banks are by zip codes, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So if we look at South Central Los Angeles or South Los Angeles, we'll see that there's a preponderance of payday loans in South Los Angeles, right?
Every corner.
However, if we go to a zip code closer to the west side, we'll number, there's a significantly lower portion of payday loans. So we really have to talk about the politics of planning and development as it relates to locations of payday loans and of course, i.e., other predatory establishments in South Los Angeles, i.e. liquor stores, et cetera. I'll stop there. I won't go deep.
Payday loans.
That's why I said it like.
I like that. That's true. Because you look at the liquor stores, the payday loans, and the churches on there.
Side by side.
Okay, so I'm gonna blend what both of you were saying. So for me, and in being respectful of an entrepreneur, payday loans are ran by somebody who relying on that money to make a living. So I have to be mindful of that. I'm not trying to knock anybody from trying to make a living, and as long as I know it's legal. Having said that, I also see the other side. I run credit reports. I see collection accounts from various payday loans. It's always $315. I'm like, why is it always $315? Different payday loans. Yeah. So to blend what you're saying and blend what you're saying is we have to understand, goes back to what everybody's saying, budget and the whys. A credit report to me is just not a credit report, it's a story.
Right.
Look at your credit report, I want to see what happened during the pandemic. I want to see, because everything kind of goes south at once. It tells a story, so I don't look at credit reports as just, so I want to know the story. But thank God for payday loans if the baby needs money, because they're there. Yeah. But let's not use them if we don't have to, and that's what I'm saying.
Good question. And the only reason, back to the mindset, you said something earlier about, we was taught, not to have credit. And the reason why I say that, growing up in my community or my environment, if you can't buy it all the way out, you don't need it.
Absolutely.
They pay for it 3 times or something like that, then don't get it.
Right.
We was taught against credit.
Right, exactly.
We didn't know how to properly use credit. Right? And I believe that's one of the reasons why they go to the payday advances, because they don't have the credit.
Absolutely.
So the mindset to developing and teaching people about credit and how to use it and have discipline with using credit versus just staying away from it. Altogether, I believe that that's an integral part in the cycle that's starting to perpetuate. It was a time that we couldn't get it, or we didn't know nothing about it. And those elders, I did a speaking engagement and I raised, as a raise of hand, how many people have a credit card? And then how many people use a debit card? My mother was the only one that said a debit card. And I had to respectfully address that situation because my mother loved me. She did the best that she knew how to do with me, but she taught me not to do credit, not to use credit. There's no way I get to where I'm at if I didn't use credit.
Right.
And we have to know how to use credit to build assets, not to go buy some new shoes or not to go buy an outfit or not to buy liabilities. So I think that's a big part of it is the mindset of credit and how it's properly used, which I believe can alleviate a lot of the payday advances and different things like that too, because $300, if you use it correctly on a credit card, then it won't be as detrimental if you have a credit card that can apply for or that can utilize that versus going to them and kill your credit, kill your everything, your income and all of that and trying to pay it back. And then you have to get another payday advance to try to pay that one back. And then you find yourself in a deeper something. Yeah, it's a detrimental cycle. So I definitely believe that it comes from the mindset.
Yes.
What's happening a lot in the inner city with the whole payday loans situation is that is the credit, to the persons, who are having it hard, who, aren't making, a decent enough salary to afford maybe, trying to make sure they can pay for their rent. So that is, unfortunately, that is the credit for them. I had an experience where I had a young lady that was coming to, actually rent one of my apartments from me. And she's like, Mr. Jenkins, I really, want to get this place. I wish you would really work with me. I'm waiting for like, a payday loan to come in. And I was like, payday loan to come in? I'm like, that's an automatic red flag, But I respected the fact that she at least told me her truth, and I ended up, working with her, and she was a tenant for like about 5 years, but, sometimes people get into those situations, and unfortunately, that's the only credit option that they have because they haven't been taught, maybe how to save. And a lot of us, growing up, we didn't have, the persons around, in our communities that were, doing things like this, having seminars about, finance, because guess what? They didn't have the finance themselves. To be able to be that example to say, hey, let me show you how to save money. Let me show you how to, invest in the stock market and, how to invest in mutual funds and things like that. So unfortunately, those payday loan situations are like the only kind of like pseudo credit, that some of our people in our communities have, unfortunately, but they definitely need to be changed. They definitely need to be.
Can I just piggybacking on what you're saying, I think it's a big ignorance or disconnect. So maybe you can, you guys can, because when you start getting a little money, some of the credit cards that I used to apply for, they was denying me. Once I got some money, then they just offered, they sending it to me. So I'm saying that to say, as the payday advance, what I learned is that it's other ways. It's other ways to build that credit, like secured credit cards or other methods. So maybe you can, tell the people or enlighten the people on some of the other ways to build some credit versus going to the payday advance loans.
I'll actually share another resource, and to go back to a point you had shared earlier.
Okay.
Hold your banks or credit unions to account. Twice a year, the American Bankers Association hosts 2 financial education events. I think it's in April. It's Teach Children to Save, but it's really Teach Anyone to Save. And in October, it is Get Smart About Credit. Your banks are not only incented from a regulatory perspective, from a PR perspective, but having educated consumers makes it easy for everyone. And the American Bankers Association has complete curricula available. And your banker, they're worth their weight in salt. I'm not even saying gold, in salt. They should be able to deliver that curriculum and be able to articulate and speak to the information contained thererein. Let's not also forget our esteemed co-panelist from Operation Hope, who knows a thing or two about financial education and being able to engage with our communities to be able to do that.
Thank you. Financial literacy month is April. Right. Yeah.
Erin, can you give us those months again? You said in October, and what's the other month? They do
April and October. April, Teach Children to Save, and October is Get Smart About Credit. The reason I know these things is how I met Reverend Najuma is working for community relations for Wells Fargo for a decade.
Absolutely.
So engaging with community organizations, understanding, highlighting financial literacy. And even though I'm from the sharp end of the bank, you just can't keep a good man down. I love connecting with people and sharing whatever pearls of wisdom I can to help people. Just all anybody wants is just make everything a little easier. It doesn't all have to be so hard. So if there's anything I can do to do that, it's my privilege to do so.
Absolutely. I want to have, because we're rounding up on time, so I want to have Eric, if you could just talk a little bit about Operation Hope and its role, because everybody may not be familiar, and then we'll take a final 2 questions, and then we'll wrap up. And please make sure to get all of these gentlemen their contact information. Certainly all of you that are leaders in institutions, organizations, or even in your community, if you have a circle of friends, invite them to come in and share, because they have a wealth of information And it won't do us any good if the information is just here or on the people that are on live stream. We gotta make sure to take it back to our community. So we will definitely send a wrap-up email with all the resources that were shared. I've tried to collect as much. I know Emery's gonna send some. We already have information from Operation Hope. I'll get things from both King and Jason, and we'll make sure you have it. But once you get it, put it in your bulletin, put it in your newsletter, put it on your social media so other people can tap in. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Eric.
Like I said earlier, been around since the Rodney King uprising 32 years ago. I'm born and raised in this neighborhood. I went to Dorsey High School.
All right, Dorsey.
D house, and sort of like you, I was at a Catholic school and I got to a public school, so seeing the difference, seeing both. Well, John Hope Bryant, look him up, John Hope Bryant, Bryant, Google him, YouTube him.
Oh, yeah. He's
Realized
helpful
that not one single family resident was burned to the ground during that uprising. So something had to happen. So he said, we don't burn what we own. And there has to be a rainbow. You have to have a storm before the rainbow. This is what John always talks about. He just came out with a book called Financial Literacy for All. Plug for John. So we got a bunch of bankers, took them on a tour of LA. Said, I did it. Invest, Wells Fargo, Union Bank, US Bank, but now Union Bank is US Bank. Some other banks, and said, hey, invest in this. We want to uplift our communities, our underserved, under-recognized communities. We want to do it by teaching folks the basics of homeownership, credit, how to be an entrepreneur. Going into the classrooms, teaching the youth about dignity, budgeting, savings, and that's what Operation Hope does. And I'm about that mission because I've been here 22 years. And if I work for a nonprofit, I don't make no money, y'all. He's talking about he's talking about 1,000 there. I'm a 20-year. And one more thing, worst case to see a ATM is in the casino. That's even worse. No, you're wrong. If you see somebody else in the casino, they're not looking to pay for breakfast, okay? They chasing. So anyway, that's what Operation Hope does. We do it for free. And we're nationwide now. We started right here at Laverne Park, and we're nationwide. I'm just proud to see the growth in John Hope Bryant, see the growth in myself. I've been doing workshops for 20 years and just get better and keep going. Just be real. Tell your story. Your transparency is real. Just how we get down. And I used to cuss and credits, but I don't do that anymore, so I've grown.
Wonderful. Jason, you want to tell a little bit more about Shield of Valor, just a little bit more?
Okay.
In case any of you ever blow up and become a celebrity. Tell them who you really are.
All right, I'm a 14-year Marine Corps veteran. I served in Afghanistan, Iraq. You know what I'm saying? Complete tours in Afghanistan. I also have a background in military intelligence as well. I was in law enforcement, federal police department, and then I got into the private sector. I was explaining to the gentleman earlier, I worked for one of the consulates, as diplomatic security. Then my best friend and brother I served in the military with, he was also in Afghanistan as a private contractor. And so we put our skill sets together, went through the training, diplomatic security through FLETC, and we started our own company right now. So we offer armed, unarmed, vehicle protection, clergy as well, protection for your churches. We also offer cybersecurity division. We have our diplomatic security division, executive protection for CEOs and VIP. We also do domestic and international travel with you as well. And we're putting together actually an app right now that will monitor your children. And that will also monitor everything that they got going on, and it will alert us of pedophilia and possible kidnapping and ransom, plus prevention of human trafficking, because we are actually also human trafficking investigators as well too. So our mission is to go and find children who have been trafficked and bring home.
That's right.
That's what we're working on right now. So that's a little bit about who I am. So
Just a
little.
Sounds like a TV program.
We're hoping. We one of the
Equalizer in the flesh, yeah.
Oh my God, don't say that. Nah.
Let's have final, oh, yes, Emery,
If I could
please.
just chime in, just to share a little about First Citizens Bank. A lot of people, we had this conversation beforehand. People have trouble keeping these bank names straight. First Citizens Bank has been around for 126 years. Although it's publicly traded, it is family controlled. The holding family, the third generation of holdings, brother and sister, actually operate the company. That's crucial for you to understand because it means that we don't chase quarters, that we have a tried and true approach that the bank is delivering on and executing to help serve its customers faithfully. And with that, First Citizens Bank has been the go-to bank where other banks have had issues, have stumbled. First Citizens is there to help pick them up and help maintain that fidelity to the customers of these banks. CIT One West a couple of years ago and Silicon Valley Bank last year. So that's who we are as a bank. And part of our commitment to our communities is affording me the opportunity, giving me the time to be able to spend with you all this morning, to connect and share some details, some tips, some tricks, just any which way to make it all a little easier for you to realize your goals and help preserve which is hard earned and hard won.
And First Citizens will be back with us in our closing event in September, and Emery and Denise are gonna have a key panel, and they're gonna be talking about lending, like business lending, corporate lending, all that kind of stuff, for nonprofits and CRA funding. So you wanna make sure when that information goes out, register for that event. You don't wanna miss it because it's gonna be some really, really solid stuff that can really help catapult your organizations in 2025. So thank you, Emery.
Where are you located?
I'm based out of Glendale.
Okay.
So, but
Do you have multiple?
First Citizens Bank?
Yes.
Yeah, we have about 25 branches throughout Los Angeles.
Man, don't they?
And I mean, it's not, the entire point is that you may not see us on every corner, but we are exactly where you need us.
Right.
To be.
I have a question for the brother from Compton College. So you just had your commencement and Kendrick Lamar was there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was on vacation, so I didn't know, but he was a surprise speaker. Yes.
So really, the real reason that brings me down here to LA is we're making a film about my cousin and fellow artist, Coolio, who also rolls out of the rap scene, one of the biggest superstars. And so I would love to team with this young lady who you have a youth program and
Young at heart.
Yeah, very young at heart.
and people who have some cash to like have some students from Compton College, along with students from USC, to help build what should have been built before with the La Hit site, especially with first of all, the Summer Olympics in Paris. We should be covering that. But okay, now in 4 years, they're gonna be here. And when I say here, I'm talking about within 2 blocks of here at the Coliseum, et cetera. So right now, the time to start setting the groundwork to do that. And with your youth and the programs we can put together with these gentlemen up here and that gentleman right there, we can really make this happen and bring some economic opportunity in a big way here. Because these companies, again, the YouTubes, et cetera, they have no interest in telling our stories. Like these stories right here, those need to be told on the La Hits network in a real-time way where millions of people tune in and learn these things. Like everything that you've been talking about, financial, education, how to respect each other, et cetera, et cetera. People have to actually see that in real time on the screen. And that needs to be done by us, not them telling our stories and profiting from our stories.
And what we can possibly do, sir, is take that great idea and have some further conversation about what that can look like, maybe creating some kind of coalition amongst individuals that are in this group. And because we've been having these sessions every quarter, and so we can pull everyone together and ask the question who might be interested in a youth coalition around economic empowerment. So that might be something we can consider.
Especially with the growth of technology
Absolutely.
companies, which are
Yeah.
not tech companies. These companies are not tech companies.
Yes,
They are the new printing press.
yeah. So I wrote the idea down and we can do some follow-up on that. Okay. We have a question online and then we have a question here.
So a question online about various apps and how safe they are, one being WhatsApp, for communications.
Oh, WhatsApp.
And whether
WhatsApp,
fraud
yeah.
happens through WhatsApp, then Venmo
WhatsApp?
and, Cash App.
No.
This meta.
Right.
Yeah, WhatsApp is being, I'll put this in plain layman terms. WhatsApp is a no-go. Because everything that, they say that it's encrypted and it's secure. No, because I've got a lot of people from Africa, from Germany, from India, from the Philippines, send me certain things that I didn't even ask for. I don't even know who you are. Why are you putting me in this group?
Right, I get that
I'm not
too.
part of Bitcoin, even though I know a little bit about it.
Right.
I'm not part of Foray and all that other stuff. No. So how did you get my information? So what I say for WhatsApp, please don't.
Please don't.
Get out. Get out, please.
And our friends,
Zelle?
yeah,
Zelle is fine.
Cash App and Venmo.
Cash App, Venmo.
Cash App, Venmo. If you want to keep your money, no. Zelle, yes. Please continue to use Zelle through your bank.
Right,
Don't do the app.
But not Venmo. They use Venmo.
not Cash App.
No. I'm trying to be nice. No. Just stay with Zelle.
No.
Through your bank. Don't, the app Zelle, don't do it. Through your bank, yes.
Right. And that goes back to the entire point we were speaking on, where we're in a period of shift,
Right.
a paradigm shift from brick and mortar banks to fintech and apps.
Right.
So understanding the landscape is evolving on a regular basis. To dovetail into what you're discussing on, forget WhatsApp. You can receive SMS text messages on your phone.
Right.
And that is, you have a risk there. If you get that text message saying this is USPS and we could not deliver your package,
Exactly.
please click this
That's
link. Click this link.
Your information was
Delete
leaked on the
report.
dark. Yeah.
Delete report junk. Just,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone knows this, but
Dark web.
it would be irresponsible to not still keep hammering the point home. Just delete and report junk. Don't even click, well, I got an email this morning on my work email from someone I don't know. I know the name of the company and he's asking for information. I reply, this is of course behind secure, what is the purchase amount for this transaction? He's like, well, it was in the link I sent. I was like, you think I know you to click on your link? No, I don't. And this is just a step of what your bankers go through. When your bankers are asking for information, upload to the secure portal. It's not because we don't trust you, but we don't trust you. We can't accept these unsolicited files because it compromises our electronic security.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Who do you report this information to if you get it through your, email or your phone?
Report phishing.
It's report phishing, that's all it is. And then if you do get
Reportphishing.com or
that,
something, or
Spell it out.
all right, phishing, report phishing is
on your phone.
REPORTPHISHING. All right, it's not phishing as in like you fish. Phishing is basically in the net.
Dr. Fishspot.
Yeah. Phishing in the network, as far as programming is concerned, it's very, very, very dangerous. It's dangerous because a lot of people are using different tools to get your information. That's why it's called phishing programs or whatnot. And these are tied into the apps. They're tied into the different, like you said, the robocalls, the text messages. All of it is tied in. It's called Trojan horses.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. So please be like you said. When you see that pop up on there, report
and delete.
Report it.
Report and delete.
Yeah, report and delete.
I'm so sorry. You've been so patient.
Yeah.
One thing that you haven't covered is credit repair companies that charge for credit repair. I just want to give a testimony. Eric Clay, we've been working together for almost 15 years.
You covered that, Mr. Clay.
So they can provide the service for free. Don't pay a credit repair company. there's nothing they can do that's magical than anybody else. So I'd like to testify that Eric Clay has helped me get buyers, for home buyers, work on their credit. The service is free, and what Eric is good, he doesn't talk down to people. But you oughta, you know, you shouldn't have done, and he's very personable, so I would like to give a testimony. It's been about 15 years,
Yes, ma'am.
Eric.